I was working for Mark Johnston in the mid to late 90s, and I think I bought a foal that was unsold, so I breezed it, and it developed from there, slowly and surely over the years. It was taking a long time, but that's how far back it goes.
I always had one or two, and I used to send them to Willie Brown, the king of the breeze up market, and he's the pioneer of it really. And as years went on, I gradually started doing a couple myself. And a good few years ago now, myself and Roger Marley teamed up, and we've been buying horses together for 10 years probably, and it's been a bit of fun. Plenty of ups and downs, and but more ups than downs, thankfully.
First of all, the breeze ups is about 8 or 9 years ago, I suppose. Wasn't very successful actually. They all ended up being stores. But no, my father used to do it, Ted, before me, and then I got busy with the training at home. So then I decided a couple of years ago I'd like to have a go, and I was lucky enough to get a Dutch Arc colt, and turned out to be Casper Nectar. So obviously he was the real start, I suppose, for me with the breeze. It was very early on. Obviously I'm extremely lucky to have had him, and yeah, he was a star.
It's significantly more professional now and for a start, but the biggest thing is the quality of horses been provided at the breeze of sales has risen dramatically since I started. I mean, then it was cheap and cheerful 2-year-olds, but now you're able to buy a classic winner at a breeze of sale.
It's serious now. I mean, every vendor has upped their game in terms of the ability of the type of horses they're buying. It started off as sort of a bottom of the market type of an operation, but now very professional, top class horses are coming out of it. To survive and prosper in this game, you've got to buy a better class of horse and hopefully get paid accordingly.
I'm in it about 8 or 9 years. I wouldn't have said it has changed an awful amount. Probably it's getting more professional, I would have thought, every year. But everything's getting more professional, isn't it? I don't think it's just the breeze up game. And yeah, I think it's all for the better anyway.
Well, I mean, my business split 50-50 yearlings and breezes, but at the breeze ups you get such much more of a look at through the window what you're actually buying. You can see soundness, movement, possible speed. You've just much more to look at. There's no, even though my business split 50-50, really there's no comparison as regards what you get to choose from with the yearlings and the breezers.
It's not the only way to buy a racehorse, but it's as good a way as any, and probably better than most. And we would feel that buyers of racehorses would feel more comfortable buying yearlings, or buying breeze-up horses, having been able to see their action, ability, soundness, and the fact that they've even got here at this stage to do what they have to do is come up with that in the Rolly Mile in 22.5, 23 seconds shows they've got ability and they're durable as well,
Sure, why wouldn't you? I mean, it makes perfect sense to come and at least you can see something that's broken and riding. We're after buying it, breaking it, riding it, after getting going, make sure they're good rides, and now you can see them come here and have a gallop over 2.5, 3 furlongs. You can come and make sure that they're sound, that they're perfectly, want to have a look at their actions, see how they move. I mean, you're definitely saving the guts of 6 or 7 or 8 months training fees. Some of these will train on to be early types, but some of them will take more time as well, and you can get all sorts.
No, I think there's a massive concern, it always has been a massive concern about times in Europe, and that worry that we would go to America at the times. But I'm not particularly worried. We have done a study on it, and as a stat says that the buyers are much more discerning than we give them credit for as regards the times, than even the consignors give them credit for. And horses that have breezed quickly but have proven to be not so good on the racetrack, the median of those bunch of horses, as opposed to the bunch of horses that breezed slow and were good on the racetrack, the bunch of horses that breezed slow and were good, was the median as 2-year-olds was higher than the bunch that breezed quick and were no good. So that tells me that the people buying the horses, we're not giving them enough credit for putting the whole thing into context, including the times. So I'm not particularly worried about the times.
It is a big factor, but thankfully, not everyone has the same opinion, and as long as people have different opinions what constitutes a good breeze up horse, we have a chance of selling them. And a lot of people are unaware of, Trip to Paris being a Cold Cup winner, and we had a Ledger winner last year or 2 years ago. Malcolm Bassett sold that. Grey Gatsby being a French Derby winner. There's a much broader spectrum of horses coming out of the breeze up sale than people wouldn't be aware of, and it's not all about early speed.
Yep. Some are, some aren't. I'd like to think that people are open-minded enough and that they can look beyond the clock. Especially when you have to go down through the pedigrees. I mean, some horses aren't meant to breeze breaking 21, breaking 22, and it's obviously a bonus when you do have something that can breeze quite sharp. But I'd like to think that everyone here is well educated enough and open-minded enough to look beyond the clock.
Listen, we've had plenty of success. But this next week is a big week for us. Next couple of weeks we've got 3 entered for classic trials that we saw last year. Fashion Star of Roger Charlton's, See the Stars filly, Kadara Scat Daddy of Carol Burke's, and Kuwait Currency of Hannon's Kitten's Joy, and there's a good 2-year in France that ran once and won a Kodiak. So there are 4 promising ones for this year, but we still have, my own favourite for the year is that Simeon Tarta gets off ground and wins Group 1.
Well, listen, we've a couple of nice horses out there that we sold. This year they're 3-year-olds. Come on, Leicester's in a Guineas trial tomorrow here in Newmarket. Fox Champion, useful horse. That's in the early days of his career. He's won 2. Global Spectrum has won his first 3, including a Group 2 in Doha. And he's got Guineas entries. We've sold a very nice horse called Olympian to Alan King. We've had plenty, thankfully, of useful horses on the racetrack, and while we didn't always get well paid for all of them, it's just nice to produce good horses at the end of the day. Yep.
I suppose I'm relatively small. I was lucky enough to have East last year. Frankel filly that was in Gorge Bridge. She turned out to be a very nice filly. She won her maiden in Hamilton for Kevin Ryan. Stephen Hillen bought her at Gorge Bridge, and she was always a lovely filly to deal with, very straightforward, and I got a huge kick out of watching her all year, and I'm delighted it all worked out for Stephen.